James loved thrift stores. Not for treasure hunting, not for profit. He just loved the stories behind forgotten things. Every object had a history. A person. A life. He would walk through aisles imagining the journeys of abandoned items. How they ended up here. Why they were let go. On a rainy Tuesday in November, James stopped at a thrift store he had never visited before. Small, cramped, smelled like dust and old books. He browsed through the usual suspects. Outdated electronics, scratched furniture, clothing from decades past. Then he saw the watch case. Behind the counter, dusty glass. Inside, a dozen watches. Cheap digital ones, broken Timexes, and one that caught his eye. A vintage mechanical watch. Silver. Simple design, but clearly quality. Clearly old. Clearly loved. The price tag said $12. $12 for what looked like it should cost hundreds. James asked to see it. The clerk shrugged, opened the case, handed it over. The watch was heavier than James expected. Solid, well made. The face was clean, white, Roman numerals, black hands, still ticking. Someone had wound it recently. Or it had been wound before it arrived here. Still keeping time after all these years. James turned it over and froze. On the back, an engraving. Worn but readable. To my son, may time always be on your side. Love, Dad, 1985. James felt his chest tighten. This was not just a watch. This was a father's gift. A father's love. A father's hope for his son. 40 years old, and someone had given it away. Or sold it, or lost it, but either way, it ended up here. Behind dusty glass. For $12. James bought it immediately. Not because he wanted a watch, but because he could not leave it there. This watch deserved better. This gift deserved to go home. To the son it was meant for. If James could find him. That night, James examined the watch more carefully. The brand was Hamilton. American. Quality watchmaker. The model looked like it was from the 1980s. Consistent with the engraving date. The serial number was still visible. Maybe he could trace it. But more importantly, James had the engraving. A father and son. 1985. The father had given this watch as a gift to his son, wishing him good fortune, good timing, good life. What happened? Why did the son not have it anymore? James took photographs, posted on social media, local community groups, watch collector forums, vintage item pages. He shared the engraving, asked if anyone recognized it, if anyone knew a family who had lost such a watch. The responses were mostly sympathetic but unhelpful. People saying it was beautiful, that he was kind to search. But no one claimed it. No one recognized it. Days turned into weeks. No leads. Then, 3 weeks later, a message. From a woman named Sarah. She had seen James' post. Shared by a friend of a friend. She thought it might belong to her brother. Their father had given him a watch. With an inscription. In 1985, before he died, her brother had treasured it for years. But then something happened. He had fallen on hard times. Made a terrible decision. Sold their father's watch. He had regretted it ever since. James wrote back immediately. Could she describe the watch? The inscription? Sarah did. It matched perfectly. Down to the brand, the year, the exact wording. This was it. He had found the son. A man named Michael, who had sold his father's last gift, and had never forgiven himself. Sarah gave James her brother's contact information, but warned him, Michael is in a bad place. Losing that watch broke something in him. Not just the watch itself, but what it represented, his last connection to our father. And he sold it, for money. Money he desperately needed, but still, he sold it, and he has never been the same. James called Michael that evening. A man answered, voice rough, guarded. Hello? Is this Michael? Yes. Who is this? My name is James. I think I found something that belongs to you. A watch. From your father. Silence. Long enough that James thought the call had dropped. Then, What watch? A Hamilton. Silver. Engraved on the back. To my son, may time always be on your side. Love, Dad, 1985. Michael started crying. Deep, wrenching sobs. James waited. Let him cry. Finally, Michael spoke. Where did you find it? A thrift store. 3 weeks ago. I have been looking for you ever since. I sold it, Michael said quietly. 5 years ago. I needed money. My wife was sick. Cancer. The treatments were expensive. Insurance did not cover everything. We were drowning. I had nothing left to sell except that watch. I took it to a pawn shop. They gave me $300. I used it for her medication. Michael's voice broke. She died anyway. 3 months later. And I sold my father's watch for nothing. For 3 extra months that ended the same way. I have hated myself every day since. That watch was the last thing my father gave me before he died. And I sold it, like it meant nothing, but it meant everything. James felt tears in his own eyes. You were trying to save your wife. Your father would understand. You did not know my father, Michael said. But maybe you are right. Maybe he would understand, or maybe he would be ashamed. I do not know anymore. All I know is I have spent 5 years wishing I could take it back. Wishing I could have that watch again. But it is gone. Lost forever. Sold to someone who probably sold it again. And again. Until it ended up wherever it ended up. It ended up with me, James said gently. And I want to return it to you. No charge. No conditions. It belongs with you. Michael was quiet. Then. Why would you do that? You bought it. It is yours now. Because it was never mine, James said. It was always yours. Your father gave it to you. That does not change because you had to sell it. You did what you had to do. To try to save someone you loved. That is not shameful. That is love. And your father's watch should come home. To you. Michael agreed to meet. The next day. At a coffee shop. James brought the watch. Carefully wrapped. Protected. Waiting to return home after 5 years. When Michael walked in, James recognized him immediately. Tall, thin, weathered by grief, eyes that had seen too much loss. He sat down slowly, like he was afraid to hope, afraid to believe this was real. James placed the small box on the table. This is yours. Michael stared at it, hands shaking. He reached out, pulled the box toward him, opened it carefully, and there it was, his father's watch. Exactly as he remembered, still ticking, still keeping time, still carrying his father's words. May time always be on your side. Michael picked it up, held it like it was made of glass. Like it might disappear if he held too tight. He traced the engraving with his finger. Tears streaming down his face. I thought I would never see this again. I thought I lost it forever. You did not lose it, James said. It just took a detour. But it found its way back. Things that matter always do. Michael looked at James. How much do I owe you? Nothing. It belongs to you. You paid for it. Let me reimburse you. James shook his head. Consider it a gift. From one stranger to another. Your father wanted you to have this. Now you do. That is payment enough. Michael broke down completely. Sobbing. Clutching the watch. Years of guilt and grief pouring out. James sat quietly, letting Michael feel everything. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is simply witness someone's pain. When Michael composed himself, James asked gently, "Tell me about your father. What was he like?" Michael smiled through his tears. "He was the best man I ever knew. Not perfect, but good, so good. He was a mechanic, worked with his hands, never made much money, but he provided, always. We were not rich, but we never went without. Not the important things." Michael told James about his childhood. About a father who worked long hours but never missed a baseball game. Who taught Michael to fix cars. To be patient. To value quality over quantity. To take care of what you have because things built well last. This watch, Michael said, holding it up. He saved for a year to buy this. I did not know that until after he died. My mom told me. He had set aside $20 every paycheck. For a year. To buy me this watch for my 18th birthday. A year of saving. For this. Why a watch? James asked. Michael laughed softly. Because I was always late. As a kid. As a teenager. I could not keep track of time. Drove him crazy. So he said, if you are going to be a man, you need to respect time. Other people's time. Your own time. Time is the one thing you cannot get back. So he bought me this watch. To teach me that lesson. Did it work? Michael nodded. I have not been late to anything important since. Well, until I had to sell the watch. Then I felt like I lost track of everything. Time. Priorities. Myself. Like selling it broke something. Broke that connection to him. To his lessons. He died 3 months after giving me this watch, Michael continued. Heart attack. At work. He was only 52. Too young. Way too young. But at least I had this. This last gift. This reminder of him. Of his love. Of his belief in me. I wore it every day. For 30 years. Every single day. Until the day I sold it. Tell me about your wife, James said gently. Michael's face softened. Jennifer. We met in college. Married at 23. 32 years together. She loved this watch too. Said it reminded her of my dad. Who she never got to meet. He died before we started dating. But she felt like she knew him. Through the stories. Through the watch. She would touch it sometimes. When I wore it. Say, your dad is watching over us. Making sure time stays on our side. When she got sick, Michael said quietly, time became our enemy. Every scan, every test, every treatment, just trying to buy more time. But time ran out. We ran out of money. Insurance covered most of it. But not all. There were experimental treatments. Not covered. Expensive. Maybe they would work. Probably they would not. But maybe. And I would have done anything for maybe. So I sold the watch. Took it to a pawn shop. They offered $200. I negotiated to $300 for a watch my father saved a year to buy. For the last gift from a man who taught me to respect time. And time did not end up on our side anyway. Jennifer died. And I had nothing. Not my wife. Not my father's watch. Nothing. James listened. His own heart breaking. Sometimes loss compounds. One grief stacked on another. Until you cannot tell where one ends and the other begins. Have you forgiven yourself? James asked. Michael shook his head. How can I? I sold my father's gift. The one thing he wanted me to keep. The one thing that connected us. How do you forgive that? James looked at the watch in Michael's hands. By understanding that keeping your wife comfortable mattered more than keeping a watch. By knowing your father would have made the same choice. By accepting that love sometimes means letting go. Even of the things we treasure most. Michael looked at the watch. Traced the engraving again. May time always be on your side. Maybe that is what he meant. Not that time would always work out. But that when I needed it most, time would return. Through this. Through you. Through this moment. Time came back to my side. Finally. James and Michael stayed at that coffee shop for 3 hours. Talking. Sharing stories. Michael told James about his father. His wife. His life. James told Michael about his love of thrift stores. Of finding meaning in forgotten things. Of believing objects carry the love of the people who owned them. Before they parted, Michael asked, how can I ever repay you? James smiled. Wear the watch. Honor your father. Live the life he hoped you would live. That is repayment enough. But Michael had another idea. A week later, he called James. I have been thinking about what you said, about objects carrying meaning, about things finding their way back. I want to start something with you, if you are interested. What? James asked. A service. Reuniting people with lost heirlooms. You have the thrift store knowledge, the search skills. I have the personal experience, the understanding of what these objects mean. Together, maybe we can help others find what they lost, return what should never have been sold, give people second chances, like you gave me. James was surprised, but intrigued. They met again, planned, researched, created a website, Lost and Found Heirlooms. People could post items they had lost or sold, items they desperately wanted back. James and Michael would search thrift stores, pawn shops, estate sales, trying to find them, and people could post items they had found, with engravings, with names, with stories, items that clearly meant something, that deserved to go home. James and Michael would investigate, track down owners, facilitate reunions. The response was overwhelming. Hundreds of posts, lost wedding rings, sold instruments, grandparents' jewelry, father's tools, baby blankets, photo albums, each one a story, a loss, a hope, a connection worth restoring. Over the next year, James and Michael reunited dozens of items with their rightful owners. A violin sold during hard times returned to a musician who wept. A wedding ring lost at a beach found and returned after 2 years. A grandfather's medals returned to a grandson who thought they were gone forever. Each reunion reminded them, objects are not just things. They are love made tangible, memories made solid, connections that outlast the people who forged them. Michael wore his father's watch every day now. Wounded every morning, let it remind him, time might not always be on your side. But love is. Love persists. Love returns. Love finds its way home. Even after 5 years. Even after grief. Even after mistakes. One day, Michael's daughter asked about the watch. He told her the story. All of it. The gift. The loss. The return. The lesson. She listened carefully. Then asked, "Grandpa wanted time to be on your side?" "Yes," Michael said. "And it was not. Mom died. You lost the watch. Time was against you." Michael thought about that, then shook his head. "No, time was not against me. I just did not understand what Grandpa meant. He did not mean everything would work out perfectly. He meant time would teach me. Time would give me perspective. Time would bring back what truly matters." And it did, through a stranger who cared. Through a second chance. Through this moment with you. Time was on my side. I just could not see it until now. His daughter smiled. "Can I have the watch? Someday?" Michael looked at her. 23 years old. Her whole life ahead. "Yes, someday. And when I give it to you, I will tell you what my father told me. Time is precious. Do not waste it. Do not take it for granted. And when you face hard choices, remember, things can be replaced. Time with the people you love cannot." They sat together. 3 generations connected by a watch, by an engraving, by a father's hope, by time that, despite everything, ended up being on their side after all. Because some gifts never truly leave. They just wait. In thrift stores, in pawn shops, in the hands of strangers. Waiting to come home, waiting to remind us. Love endures. Time heals. And second chances are always possible. If we are willing to search for them. If we are willing to believe they exist. If we are willing to bring them home.